kindly, please do. Thank you, Dr. Zainab. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good afternoon to all of you. I will continue to where Dr. Muzammil left off. Okay? But before that, I would like to thank Dr. Rushdan and the organizing committee for inviting me and giving me this pleasure to present to all of you the implementation of HPV vaccination in Malaysia. Okay? Now my presentation will cover about the policy, planning, execution of the policy, achievement, and some challenges that we face. Okay, as you all know that when we came up with this policy, it was in 2009, right? Now the policy is HPV immunization to 30 years old girls starting 2010. Okay? And how do we operationalize this policy? Yeah? It should be a voluntary, meaning that there should be written parental consent, and it is free of charge for this particular target group. And we focus on the school, yeah. And as far as the school is concerned, we will take the Form 1, yeah, Form 1 school girls, and irrespective of their actual age, right? Now for the out of school 13-year-old girls, we will give the vaccine in the clinics, yeah. Now this is the National Childhood Immunization Schedule that we have. I think you're aware of this, okay? And with the HPV vaccination in place, then you can see that for the 13 years old, there'll be another vaccination, right? Now, this is the schedule that we will follow. Dose 1 at 0 month, dose 2 1 month after dose 1, and dose 3 6 months after dose 1. And for this particular program, we use HPV 16 and 18 vaccine, okay? And it's given intramuscularly. Now, what are the steps involved in the planning and execution of this program? Okay, in the year 2006 to 2009, there was a lot of planning done, right? And we had the various professional bodies, yeah, like the pediatricians, the ONG specialists, they were all talking about this, and even the public health specialists were talking about this. Okay, and we have documents, we have guidelines from World Health Organization, from CDC Atlanta, from FIGO, and all these were giving us the way forward with the HPV vaccination. Now, it took some time before we came up with a policy paper for purpose for the administrators and for Treasury. Okay, and in 2010, we've got the approval, Treasury approval to start the vaccination program, right? Now, in December 2009 to 2010, it was the preparatory phase, whereby we do a lot of guidelines, plan of actions, and we prepare our specifications for the vaccine, right? And it took a lot of work and preparation, right? And we also started to get communities to buy in, yeah? Not only the general community, but the schools, the PTAs, the consumer associations, to buy in, right? And we have a lot of public forums. Yeah? Now, in August 2010, that's the implementation phase. I will talk to you more about this later. And then now we are in the monitoring and evaluation phase. Yeah. Now, the strategies that we use. health promotion, I think you know this is very important because we have to buy in from a lot of people, right? It is not only a political movement, it is also a technical, medical movement, right? And I think you are aware of the media campaign that we have, and I think it made a lot of difference when you see our, well, that time the Deputy DG on TV advocating girls to come for HPV vaccination, and we have our sweet OAD specialist from Clark Hospital, can't remember her name, but she was really sweet, and I think a lot of people also buy in, right? And in the health promotion, it was a bonus to the Pap smear screening program, okay? Because we mentioned Pap smear screening together with HPV vaccination. Now, intersectoral collaboration, this is very important, to get people to buy in. So just now, we have a lot of write-ups from the Consumer Association, who are against vaccine, they are against any form of vaccine actually, right? And of course, we got the religious bodies to buy in as well. Now, procurement is another area, and for the specification, we optimize conditions, That means we're not only going to buy vaccines, but we also ask for things like fridges and cold boxes and many other things, And of course, we develop guidelines and training at all levels, and this is very important for the vaccination program to be a success. Now, other strategies, I will talk to you later about the service provision before, during and after. Of course, Dr. Muzamil was saying about handling and storage and all these things. This is what I'll show you, what we have done, right? And the role of the various staffs, we make it clear, who do what, the responsibility of the various staff, right? From the pharmacist, what is their role? The nurse who receives the vaccine, what is their role? The OAD specialist, and the A&E, and everything was clear, in our guideline. And we have a proper, efficient reporting system. We open operations room so that we can monitor the supplies, the vaccine supplies. We monitor vaccination coverage, and also adverse events following immunization, AEFE. And we also monitor public comments so that we can react timely. Now, these two documents are very important. Okay, this letter is actually letter of instruction from our Deputy Director, from our Director General to all the states to implement this vaccination program. And now this one is powerful. This is from the Ministry of Education to all the schools, the headmasters, about giving cooperation to this immunization program. And I think this is very instrumental for the success of the program. Okay. Now, we also have this what you call consent form. We design a consent form for the parents, and we give the teachers this consent form together with our leaflets. I think you have seen our leaflets, so that parents will consent. Okay? But this doesn't take one process, I think our nurses have to do a lot of personal communication with parents to get parents to consent. This is the immunization card we give to the students, so that the vaccination history is noted. And there is a form called minor AEFI form for individual students to write what their experiences are after the vaccination was given. Okay? And we collect this in our next visit to the school. Now, here are some public opinion about the HPV vaccine, which we reacted to. Like this one is from the page NGO. It's about a parents association. This one is from the CAP, Consumers Association of Penang. vaccinations against HPV is dangerous and unnecessary. So this is the statement they make. And then we have from individual, cervical cancer vaccine is more pragmatic to rely on better tests, right? So there are many different opinions from different people, but we reacted to those. Okay. Now our performance in the year 2010, only 8 states implemented the vaccination program. And we had visited about 2,000 over schools with the enrollment of about 200,000 girls, and we have about more than 90% consent, right? And out of those who consented, our coverage is about 98%, first dose, second dose 92%, and third dose we're doing this year for this particular cohort, and this data is still being updated, right? Now, with regards to AEFI, we have very minimal AEFI, it's about 0.3%, and for the second dose, 0%, but actually in absolute figures it's about 72. Okay, I'll show you what are they. Now, for this year's cohort, right, we have covered 200 over schools with enrollment about 192,000 girls, and 95% give consent, and the percentage coverage is about 99%, for those who give consent, and those two for this cohort, the data is still being updated, and those three we still have not implemented yet, because this is this year cohort, alright. Now AEFI is very low also. Now, what are the adverse events following immunization? For cohort, this is for cohort 20110, right? Last year, this is what our monitoring system told us. AEFI is very low. We had only about 822 complaints, right? And most of the complaints are about dizziness, nausea, vomiting, and pain on injection sites. And I think Dr. Muzammil was saying that this is the main problem, but actually our main problem is that the girls complain of pening, So this is the main complaint. Fainting, we only have 2 cases. Girls fainted, but they were all very mild, right? Now for those two, we have only about 72 AEFI. Majority complain of dizziness, nausea, vomiting, and then pain on injection site. Only about 12 people, but there were no fainting episodes among the girls. We had 2 cases who were hospitalized. One was hospitalized only at A&E because I think she fainted, and she fainted, and one of our nurses thought she fainted. But then she was admitted to A&E but discharged on the same day. Right? Now the other case is a case of idiopathic ITP. But we have done investigation, and there was no causal association with the vaccine. Now, the implementation, here are some of the challenges that we had, right? Parental acceptance, and this is with regards halal status of the vaccine and the vaccine safety, However, these are the actions that we have taken, and we've got very good response, right? Like risk communication strategies and Ministry of Education cooperation. The consent form is a very good tool, to get commitment. And then halal certification. Now, this is all operational problem, like inadequate space for vaccine storage. But we don't have problem because we have fridges which were supplied by the vendor, and then we decentralize our vaccine storage to various centers, designated centers. We had a problem with late supply of vaccine and fridges, and this is because the manufacturer have to follow their own production schedule, and they have to take from the other countries, because we need a lot of them. Okay? We need a lot of the vaccine, and they're not able to provide us. So they source from the vaccines that were meant for other countries, right? So we communicate frequently with the vendors. Okay, and I think we wrote some letters because of delay to penalize them for the delay. Now, timely information. This is something that we anticipate, yeah, but we have the various strategies like operations room, which operates every day, yeah, and then we have the standardized reporting format and work processes, yeah, and we communicate to many different means, from phone, SMS, email, fax, and everything. Okay? Any case of AEFI, we will let our Director General knows about it. So we were really very vigilant with regards to AEFI. Okay. Now another challenge is about the short implementation time. Yeah, when we were told that we have to start in 2010 after the money was given, the budget was approved. So we have to deal with the school, because school has got the school exam and they got major exam as well. And then when they have the PMR and SPM, we cannot go into the school compound. The teachers do not allow us to go in. So we have to arrange our visits, yeah, to be timely, yeah, with the school. Okay? And at the same time, it was almost the end of the year. Okay? Now what we did was we make sure we comply with the time, especially between the first and the second dose, yeah? And then we utilize our school health team optimally, and we form new teams, yeah? And mobilize all the staff from the clinic, okay? To go out to the schools. Now the budget that was approved was spent for vaccine purchase, and 10% was used for health promotion and campaign, and that amounts to about RM 10 million ringgit, 10 million ringgit Malaysia, just for campaign, and I think it's really worthy, alright? Now, and for buying of consumables. Okay? Now, and the other budgets actually budget for purpose of allowances, yeah, for the staff overtime, and then for the maintenance of vehicle and the petrol. Now, what are the success factors in Malaysia's scenario, right? Now, of course, we have this strong political will, okay, and this is translated through the Treasury's commitment, right? And we, in the early stages of planning, we started involvement of all the stakeholders, right? And then we predict and manage potential risks appropriately and timely. And of course, we have our monitoring system, okay? And we also use this as a bonus, for pap smear screening, revisit. Okay? Now, our strength, the Ministry of Health organization structure helps us because we have the level of HQ, level of the state, and the district, and then at the clinic. And this helps a lot, okay, because resources are there. And then the school visit schedule, all well planned in the district health office or the clinic, yeah? And then registration book, we even monitor individual students, yeah? And monitor their doses, okay? By name, mind you, yeah? And then preparation of the cold chain, yeah? Maintenance of the cold chain to make sure the vaccine is efficacious, right? Then ice pack preparation for transporting the vaccine, and then stabilizing the ice pack, and this is also preparation of the ice pack, placing the ice pack in the cold box. There are techniques, to do this, yeah, and the nurses are doing this with a lot of supervision. This is putting the ice pack in the cold box, and then before you put in the vaccine, you have to line it with a sponge, yeah. Okay. And monitor the temperature of the cold box, okay, and then make sure the fridge, this is the top loading fridge where we store our vaccine, okay, and they got temperature chart, yeah, so that temperature chart, yeah. This is the top loading fridge to store the vaccine, okay, and the arrangement of the vaccine is also important. Okay? monitor the temperature, and this is the temperature chart or the history of the temperature in the box that we receive from the supplier. Yeah, we know whether the cold chain has been broken or not. Yeah, we monitor the chart. And this is storing the vaccine packs into the cold boxes, and putting them, and this is ready for transportation. This is arriving at the school, and the teacher, working with the teacher to take the students' school and consent form of the students, and shows the session, the vaccination takes place. Students listening to the briefing by the doctors and the nurses. Waiting to be called for jabs. They're waiting anxiously, but they're happy. Our nurses reviewing the consent form and at the same time assessing the students' health, checking records, and getting prepared for the vaccination. They look happy, don't they? Okay? And Alhamdulillah. Okay? Yeah? And we told our staff, observe for 20 minutes, before they are being sent back to the class. So this is what's happening. They sit around for 20 minutes. Most of the time they were laughing and sharing their experiences. Okay? Then they are waiting to be sent to the classrooms. And those that complain of dizziness or nausea, we put them in one place. So we can observe them, and then after that we allow them to go back to the classrooms. Okay, and this is my last slide. Thank you very much. I hope you are familiar with all these pamphlets that we produce. We produce for the students. This one for the teachers. This is for the parents, and these are for the girls themselves. And this one is to remind them for the second dose. Okay? So that's about all. Thank you very much for your attention.